So this is that part two to the earlier meditation video where I ended so awkwardly. I want to talk about how you can actually apply those two principles that we talked about earlier. The idea that first off, we need to have a blank mind. And second, it's also about letting your mind roam free, for self-analysis and such. The different kinds of meditation, you have the standard sort of sitting in like an upright position in a chair or something like that, on the floor usually, where you're able to be completely at peace and your legs are crossed, that kind of thing. It's that way for a reason. It's very effective. Typically, it's closing your eyes, you sit there, and the way that I've done it is I let my eyes are open, and I kind of just fix at a point in the room, and I really observe it. And I transition into just staring and taking that point in the room and staring at it and observing the entire area, and I let my mind kind of clear. You got to give a second to let your mind just slow down a second. And I take everything in, take some deep breaths, and deep breathing is extremely important, I think, for all kinds of meditation, because it helps ground yourself and ground your thoughts, so it's not super, everywhere. Lets you be steady. So as you take deep breaths, in and out, you really focus on that, and it helps you draw yourself and your mind away from your regular life. So you kind of pull in, you take those deep breaths, you sink to the floor, relax, focus on the breathing, maybe imagine a light inside or whatever, you're breathing something in, that kind of thing. And you get really calm, and your mind just kind of goes blank as you focus on that breathing for a while. After that, when you are in a state of your mind is empty, that's what's important, is your mind has to be empty. You're not automatically going and thinking about things. You gotta get to the point first where you don't think about things, and you can always recenter yourself in your breathing, but after a while you'll get to a point where you don't have to recenter yourself on your breathing. Once you get there, then you let your mind go, and you stop trying to recenter yourself, and you just let yourself let your mind go free. And that's that part of the kind of free associations area of it. And that can last as long as it needs to, really. There isn't a time limit to this entire thing. It's kind of just going with the flow. And once you finish that, maybe you can go back to some breathing, or you can just get up. But that's what I've done before. That's the main method I think I'd recommend for most people, right? What I tend to do now is I don't really like to meditate as much. I think it's a habit I should get into more, because I'll be honest, I'm definitely not perfect, guys. I don't meditate. I tried establishing the habit a while ago. I did it probably for 2 months, I'd say. It didn't click with me, and I couldn't stay on it. So I stopped doing it. And I should get back onto it, because I don't dedicate enough time as it is, and it'd be really good to put in 5 minutes a day, right? So now, typically what I do is, instead of sitting there, I like to go on walks. Go on walks, or when I drive. This is especially important. I don't let my mind go blank. I don't force go blank. I immediately go into the wandering phase, and from there I pick up the certain thoughts and carry it on consciously, and then I let it go back and just flow. It's hard to explain, but you'll understand when you do it. You just, as you walk, you kind of focus on nature, and then you just dive back into your head, and you let your mind go, and you just start thinking about things, right? And then you'll pick a certain thought out of the air, and despite what it is, you just really think about it, and you kind of just let your mind go with it. I can give you a quick example. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. Sometimes it really doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't bear any fruit. But it's always nice to do. I took a walk and I went to the park a few days ago just to relax, get out of the house, get some fresh air. I had some free time for once, so that's kind of how I like to spend it. You know, if I don't have to do anything at the moment, just take a break, go outside. And on that walk, I went to the park. I was letting my mind go. I was thinking about my relationship I was having at the moment, at the time, not at that exact moment. And I was thinking about, you know, just my homework assignments, things like that. And for some reason, my mind always, not always, a lot of the times goes back to fighting. I must have some sort of subconscious obsession with it, because whenever I do that, a lot of the time, it goes to fighting. It goes to defending my family, or fighting home invaders, or standing up to somebody. You know, just like kind of unrealistic scenarios that, that are even taken to the extreme, or have to like fight people to the death and stuff. And I let my mind go, and man, it gets violent. It really does. But the thing is during that, you can't judge it. You can't look at that and be like, man, I'm crazy, and just stop. Like, while I'm thinking about that, I try not to be like, are you a psychopath? Are you a serial killer? You know? I just let my mind go with it. And afterwards, I look at it, and I'm like, why? Why did that happen? Usually it somehow revolves around something in my life, and then that maybe you can realize that's a bigger stressor than you thought. Or I just realized maybe I have a really big draw towards combat and towards violence and aggression. And that's helped me link into my other areas and weaknesses that I've realized that I have with anger. That's one of my go-to negative responses is anger, frustration. So it's helped in that way. And just that example, it kind of shows you how I can build those connections. But walks and when I'm driving, those are big areas. And even as funny as it is, in the shower, usually you're not doing anything anyways, so you can let your mind go when you're doing that. Like somewhat active activities, but that you really don't have to think about, those are great times to do it. That's what I would say it'd be. Most people can definitely do. It doesn't require a whole lot of effort. I feel like it's almost more rewarding than actually going and meditating, like in your basement or something, because you're getting outside if you're going on walks. You know, you're getting a little bit active. I think it feels great. So I would recommend that for most people. But those are the two kind of methods that I think are best and most applicable for you guys in your lives. But definitely going on walks, and because we just don't do that enough. As people, we don't go on walks much anymore. Like, it's weird because as a teen, like 18-year-old guy, I don't really know anybody that goes on walks my age, right? I'm kind of out of the norm on that one. And I'll be out partially because I don't have a social life to some extent. No, sometimes like it'll be like a late day. I'll be like Saturday night, before I go do something, I'll be out on a walk. It's just like people are like, "What are you doing, dude? Shouldn't you be doing something?" But just pick those things that you value and go do them. That kind of goes into a different subject of societal expectations, but it's like you're supposed to be going hanging out with friends or whatever, going to parties. But what do you find most rewarding? What makes you happy in life? And you can go after that. It's not necessarily a meditation for me or for most people, but we probably still should do it anyways.